Hello and welcome. I'm Al Barrows, and this is UFO Disclosure, the podcast that's meant to show an average person's reaction to all the UFO, UAP news from everywhere and anywhere. Today's show will be dedicated to UFO updates. Earlier this year, Representative Paulina Luna announced the formation of a House Oversight Committee task force to investigate UFOs, the JFK assassination, the Martin Luther King assassination, 9/11, and a few other federal secrets. And there was a time frame of only 6 months that they had to investigate all these topics. So personally, I did not have high hopes for this new task force to actually get around to any UFO or UAP investigations. Here's Representative Paulina Luna making the announcement this past February.
It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long.
And helping out the Congress people in this UAP task force will be David Grusch, the whistleblower that not too long ago revealed that the government is in possession of biologics or non-human intelligences. He since then disappeared from the scene. So I thought it was noteworthy to mention that he would be working closely and advising this new UAP task force. Here's Paulina Luna being interviewed leaving the White House and what she had to say about David Grusch and his involvement with Congress.
Hey, how are you, ma'am? I was curious what you make of the hiring of David Grusch. Do you think that's gonna...
I think he's great. Yeah, I think he's Burleson is obviously he's on team with him, so I think that's going to be solid. Everybody was super.
Do you know if he gets his security clearance back?
Grusch is that would be a Burleson question, but we're working all avenues.
Doctors, you guys were looking
into the skip.
Yes, we got that confirmed for sometime in April.
In April. Yeah. Cool. Appreciate you.
Okay, so that was Paulina Luna revealing that David Grusch has been working with Representative Eric Burleson with this new UAP task force, and he'll also be getting his security clearance and will be testifying in a SCIF. And a SCIF is just a room where David Grusch will be able to discuss classified information that he knows about UAP and NHI and reveal this to Congress members. Representative Paulina Luna also posted on X their task force schedule as far as UAP-related meetings. So she posted, "Big news. Here is a tentative timeline for investigation into UAPs. This inquiry into UAPs has been the biggest bipartisan intra-government investigation in U.S. history." She also said, "We look forward to the upcoming investigation and want to give a special thank you to Mr. David Grusch for providing advice to us." And the timeline was April the 29th. It was supposed to be a SCIF brief with UAP experts. And between April the 30th and May the 1st, there was a roundtable with experts, officials, and members of Congress. And this is what I'm going to go into in just a bit. But coming up in the future, in the week of May the 12th, there's supposed to be a full committee hearing on UAPs. Now, getting back to the roundtable on May the 1st, during that particular UAP task force meeting, Aerospace engineer Eric Davis revealed details of a decades-long crash retrieval program to sitting members of Congress.
So, a long story short is that I came into contact with industry leaders, technical scientists, both active duty and later retired, as well as intelligence officers, generals, admirals, colonels, people who directed intelligence or human intelligence collection and analysis directorates at the DIA and the Central Intelligence Agency, who reached out to me to have me do some foreign UAP intelligence analysis and assessment. And so I have been exposed to so much in the classified realm that I can tell you definitively that there is a there. The human race, basically the world's biggest governments, like the United States, our adversary China and Russia, at least as far as I know, have had the occasion to recover craft that have either landed or crashed or both in their territory or even outside of their territories, and have taken us back to the most sensitive of their programs that they've ever had. These programs are even more sensitive and more well hidden than the Manhattan Project was, or the modern nuclear weapons industry and the U.S. military and the Department of Energy programs to maintain and upgrade and modernize our nuclear weapons arsenal.
And here's Mr. Cuomo on News Nation after the May the 1st meeting, interviewing Mike Gold and Lue Elizondo as to what went on during that meeting.
Tell us about the pictures you brought today, what they mean to you and what they should mean to the government.
So one of the images I showed today, well, we'll do. One of the images that I showed today was from Apollo 17, and it looks like a triangular UAP. It's actually very similar to many of the other images that you've seen from UAP footage that people have taken. And to be honest, I don't know what it is. I don't think Lou could tell you. I don't think anyone could tell you. But what I do know is that it's worth investigating. These are anomalous phenomena that are inexplicable. And even if it doesn't turn out to be something extraordinary, this could be a natural phenomenon that could be quite interesting. It could be ice particles that could be very important. We must look at this data. We must get to the truth, demand transparency. And that's how we learn through anomalies. That's how science is done. That's how learning is driven.
And it's how you build trust in the government, Lou. I mean, that's what's at the all-time low right now. And this is such a layup for them. What is the resistance? Do they think, you guys are crazy and that there is nothing to know?
Now, I'll tell you, Chris, that was not what we saw today on Capitol Hill. We had, under the leadership of Rep. Luna, and Rep. Burleson was there, Rep. Burchett, and Rep. Begich, all were there to hear the testimony of former intelligence officials, scientists, academics. We had Harvard professor Avi Loeb there from Harvard, also having a discussion with them open. This was a marathon forum. This lasted almost 4 hours, where they received an earful. And I'll tell you, I think this story is evolving. There was one individual who was a former astrophysicist who worked for us on ATIP, named Eric Davis. And I suspect you're going to be hearing a lot of rumblings within the next week or two about what he told Congress.
I think, Chris, we are still dealing.
Anna Paulina Luna, by the way. I like that she's doing this. I like that she has a STEM background, what she studied in college. I think it's good. I mean, look, Mike, this is why it matters. They're not even telling us what that crap is that's flying over the bases, okay? And it's shutting down missions. I mean, it's so crazy that this is something that they should be anything but nonchalant about. This should be panic time.
Well, all of this information is publicly available. We spend a lot of time talking about classified information, things being hidden. I'd like to focus on what NASA is releasing to the public. For example, one of the other images that you're seeing here is of a lunar horizon glow. That's what looks like a sunrise on the moon. We capture that via Redwire's Argus cameras that were on the Firefly Blue Ghost system that landed on the moon just last month. And these are some of the exciting discoveries we're going to make on the moon. I don't know what that is. There was the theory that this lunar horizon glow was lunar dust that was rising, being electrostatically charged by the sun. But future experiments, past experiments that we've done, have shown that there isn't enough dust to create that effect, and that the electrostatic charge would not be able to create it. So we don't know what that is. It requires more study, more analysis. As the commercial space field moves forward, companies like Firefly, Redwire, SpaceX, Blue Origin, we're democratizing space. We're getting more imagery, more data that will potentially unlock the mystery of UAP and provide answers to this incredible question.
And Mike, let's be clear, that photo that they just showed, that is not the sun. Is that correct for the viewers out there?
It is not the sun. It is not the Earth. This is an anomalous phenomena in the truest sense of the word. We don't know what it is. It could be something extraordinary. It could be something natural. Either way, it demands research. It demands that we take a look at this. And this is just one of many images. This is just a cursory review of the treasure trove of data we could get if we did an AI ML search of the NASA archives, which is something that I hope all of your viewers call into your members of Congress and demand.
100%.
Chris, I'll tell you too that we had Admiral Tim Gallaudet with us as well, and former DASD at the Pentagon, Chris Mellon. And all of them were really echoing what Mike Gold is telling you here, is that there is an urgent need for greater transparency and to minimize the over-secrecy, because right now, as you said, Chris, the faith and confidence is at an all-time low with our own government.
Yeah.
Here's Lue Elizondo with a photo he specifically brought to show Congress, claiming irrigation circles are a UFO.
And I'm going to share with you a photograph that has never been made public. It was taken in 2021 over the Four Corners region at an altitude of approximately 21,000 feet by a private pilot outside of his aircraft. And this is a photo I'll give a copy for Congress to see. It was taken by we have all the information on the camera, and I just received permission today to share this with you. It is a lenticular object, and when you look at the shadow being cast, it is significantly large. This is an altitude of 21,000 feet. Taken by a civilian pilot. Now, why is this important? I'll pass this around. I'll hold another copy if you can, Kirk, when you're finished as well, please pass it on down to them. This is taken from a civilian pilot, right? Not a FLIR system, not an infrared system, but an average person with an average camera at 21,000 feet. And the object potentially is anywhere between 600 to 1,000 feet in diameter. It's a lenticular object, and it is silver. Now, I cannot vouch for the veracity of this photograph. I didn't take it. But this is an example of one of many, many, many incidents involving commercial and private pilots. And guess what? They don't know where to report it. Guess what? Congress has no idea that this is happening on a regular basis.
Okay, so right after that presentation by Lue Elizondo, I came across this on the online magazine anamalien.com, and it's an article by Zoe Mitchell. It's entitled, "Whistleblower Lue Elizondo Shows Fake UFO Photo Again." And I'm just going to read a couple of sentences in this article. And Zoe says, just months after a supposed unidentified flying object image presented by whistleblower Lue Elizondo was revealed to be a common chandelier, the former Pentagon official has once again found himself at the center of controversy. During the highly anticipated UAP Task Force meeting on unidentified aerial phenomenon, Elizondo presented another photograph purported to depict an anomalous aerial vehicle. However, online investigators have swiftly debunked the image, identifying it as a mundane terrestrial scene. Eagle-eyed online sleuths, particularly on platforms like Reddit, quickly identified the scene as nothing more than two adjacent agricultural fields viewed from above. So the shadow effect, Zoe says here, that Elizondo seemingly highlighted as evidence of a three-dimensional object is in fact an optical illusion created by the contrast between the dark soil of one field and the lighter vegetation of the adjacent one. And you can see that here. And here's the first picture that Lue Elizondo claimed was a UFO over Romania. And it has since then been debunked as simply being a household chandelier. So the repetition of this second error on Elizondo's part has understandably ignited skepticism regarding Elizondo's vetting process and also the reliability of the visual evidence he presents. For me and for those hoping that the congressional hearings would shed definitive light on the UAP phenomenon, this latest misstep by Elizondo is undoubtedly a setback. In my opinion, Lue Elizondo's presentation of easily debunked visual evidence risks undermining the seriousness of the discussion, and also potentially it could risk discrediting those genuinely seeking to uncover the truth. Elizondo also created some fear this past January when he claimed that there was a large object headed toward Earth.
I can just tell you that it's going to be white hot and it's going to be all over the media. How people are going to take it, that's out of my wheelhouse. I think Diana would be far better qualified to answer that question than me, because I wouldn't even know. I know it's coming, and I know that people are going to find out. They're going to know about it because it's going to be very, very public. But with that said, Diana, that's a great question. How do people prepare for?
I mean, is it that big? Is it going to be like?
It's major. Yeah, it's going to be, for the uninitiated, it's going to be a holy cow moment.
And this past April, Lue Elizondo, during an interview, insinuated that some in government think that disclosure would lead to an alien invasion.
We cannot prove that they're not here to do something bad, but what we do know is that they can interfere. They're very interested in our military capabilities, and they have interfered with our nuclear capabilities, right? Mm-hmm. From a military perspective, that looks an awful lot like something we call IPB, initial preparations of the battle space, or perhaps even ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Whenever we're going to go into a foreign country and invade, we do long-range surveillance. We want to know how the enemy operates, how they react. So even if there's a 2% chance, 5% chance that these things are here to do something malevolent, right? Mm-hmm. Then we probably should not tip our hands to the fact that we are aware of it publicly, because what happens the moment that the bad guys in a foreign country find our surveillance team over the border? We've got 12 hours. We got to invade, because the element of surprise is now over. So some may feel in the government the mere fact of acknowledging this, if there is some sort of malintent, may push up artificially a clock that exists somewhere for these things to say, okay, the foolish humans are now, the cat's out of the bag. They know we're here. We need to go in now for whatever reason they may have.
Okay, so Lue Elizondo is telling Joe Rogan there on the Joe Rogan show that once we all know that the ETs are here, that they would have no other choice but to invade us. Not sure what the logic in that is. So is Lue Elizondo a grifter or a disinformation agent, or just inept? If you follow posts online, he's pretty much lost a lot of credibility with people. But what worries me is that along the way, he might also be damaging other people's credibility that have been associated with him in this new UAP task force. I'd like to change gears now and look at what we might have to look forward to in the future. Jeremy Corbell recently revealed a new whistleblower, Matt Brown, who was linked to the Immaculate Constellation, a document that was put before Congress in the last hearing and reveals many of the insider programs associated with UAP. Here's Jeremy Corbell, the filmmaker and ufologist, being interviewed about that on News Nation.
Joining us now is investigative journalist and co-host of the Weaponized podcast, Jeremy Corbell. Jeremy, great to have you back to the show. So you've known Matthew Brown a long time. You actually even brought him into a secret meeting with members of Congress before IMCON was ever publicly revealed. When did this all begin? How did you first meet him?
Yeah, this started a long time ago. As you know, like George Knapp and I, when we work on bringing whistleblowers forward, first thing is protect them, even if they don't protect themselves, and get them heard through the proper channels. So Matthew Brown, you're right. I did bring him into multiple meetings with members before the word was ever uttered publicly. But the point of doing that was to get him vetted and heard so that he could testify to the American public, because that is ultimately what people want. They want to hear what's going on. And he discovered so many things that the public has yet to hear. And that's why we started releasing that testimony now, because he didn't end up testifying at the last hearing, if you recall.
Why didn't he?
Yeah, it's a good question. The last hearing was a little bit bizarre, and I'm really hoping this changes. I know that Representative Luna and Burchett and Burleson, they're working really hard to make sure you hear from firsthand direct whistleblowers this time. I mean, you ask, like, why didn't he last time? He's been willing as an American patriot to come forward and put it all on the line. This is not something that is taken lightly. When you come forward and you expose a program like Immaculate Constellation, which, by the way, for our audience, just to be very clear, it was an intelligence and reconnaissance unacknowledged special access program that focused on collecting footage of UAP and reproduction vehicles from diverse, weaponized, and militarized observation platforms. What that means is it's collecting from all our different assets and bringing them in and culling them in for our government to look at, but secretly and behind Congress's back.
Okay, but you mentioned that the congressmen only want people with direct and firsthand knowledge to be testifying. Does Matthew Brown have direct and firsthand knowledge?
Absolutely. There's different levels of direct and firsthand knowledge. When you discover through accidental exposure an unacknowledged special access program, you try to alert all of your higher command on what's going on, and it falls on deaf ears. When you've gone to Congress, when you've gone into these doors and given testimony and the American public hasn't heard about it yet, it's time to do something. So that's why Matthew Brown is really, he's a courageous person, and I think the public needs to protect and support him.
But the point is because I remember interviewing David Grusch when he first came out with his story, and there was a lot of question about with David Grusch, what did you exactly see or what were you told was going on? Matthew Brown has direct firsthand knowledge that this program, IMCON, Immaculate Constellation, is actually happening. He's seen it with his own eyes.
Yes, and even more than that, we are talking thousands of videos and photos, but a lot of videos that the American public hasn't seen of these advanced craft we call UAP that are of unknown origin. So when you've seen those on the inside on classified servers, and you are now testifying under oath, by the way, sometimes when you're going into Congress, that is a big deal. That is firsthand knowledge of a cover-up of the UFO phenomenon to the American public.
It's interesting in the clip that we just played, you know, Matthew Brown doesn't come out and say, oh, this is definitely extraterrestrial. He's like, nothing that I know of can do this. He is what I would call responsibly careful in how he characterizes the videos that he has seen. Do you know how many of these videos, like how, when we look at the Tic Tac video, for example, it's easy, you know, because it's a thermal imaging, it's hard to really discern what you're seeing. Do you have any sense of what this Immaculate Constellation program video archive contains and how unusual or explicit these videos are in terms of showing things that are just not humanly possible right now?
Yeah, so that is an intense question, because I'll tell you this, when I come and I bring more people forward with George Knapp, because we have already recorded with other firsthand whistleblowers that we have yet to release. So I can promise you, people are coming forward, an army of people are coming forward. But the thing is, when you're talking about this footage, what you're seeing there, we need to become educated on. These are weapons platforms. It's better than an iPhone. What you're seeing in these videos, remember, last week, George and I released a new Tic Tac UFO video to the world that was military filmed. So this is getting out. What you're seeing are craft of unknown origin with advanced capability far beyond anything that we know humanity can make. Matthew is really smart with the way that he presents his words. When we don't know something, we don't know something, but that has always been the issue here. If it is not ours, if it is not China's, and it is not Russia's, How can it do what it's doing in all of these videos that we've accumulated? But our government is well aware. They've been reverse engineering it. That's why they call them non-human intelligence, because we know they're not ours. We know they're not from a terrestrial nation that we are aware of.
Any doubt we'll be seeing Matthew Brown testify soon?
You know, it's a great question. Wouldn't you love to see him testify?
I would.
I certainly would. But there's a number of other people that, again, we've recorded with, me and George Knapp, we have, and they're going to be coming out. So fingers crossed, this next hearing, we have an opportunity, and Congress is listening. They're watching this interview with Matthew Brown as it comes out. Next part is next week. They're watching. So we have an opportunity, and I hope we take it.
Okay, so in that interview, although Jeremy Corbell is offering some hope for the future, the interviewer did press him about whether or not Matt Brown, the new whistleblower, was in fact a first-hand experiencer or witness. And Jeremy Corbell sort of watered that down and said he had first-hand knowledge. But then again, David Grusch also just had first-hand knowledge. So he could still be a valuable witness to Congress. The interviewer also pressed Jeremy Corbell about the fact that Matt Brown never mentioned the word UFO, and he was very careful about his words. And that's true. When asked about the next UAP hearing and whether or not we'd be seeing Matt Brown there, Jeremy Corbell did hold out some hope. I do hope that we do get some new witnesses, and this new Matt Brown sounds like he has a lot to reveal. I hope you guys enjoyed the updates. It's just the tip of the iceberg. I tried to cover what I thought was notable and most important to pay attention to. My name is Al Barrows. This has been UFO Disclosure. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.